This is where they will be able to battle it out. Europe versus South America, who comes out on top?
And I was especially impressed with Kaio yesterday. He was seemingly winning every challenge against NRG, and of course, Yanks, he's just Yanks. I mean, his mechanics are unparalleled when you're talking about the South American region. But Relating Wave and company are certainly going to be a difficult out.
I mean, you talk about the mechanics as well. Yanks is the man on Fury who's going to be able to do that. But Seiko, Dazarin has a very good point where he was saying, we see him double flip reset. We see how he likes to play, and it is the supporting cast. Who has the strongest supporting cast, though? Who will get more stars on Broadway?
That's the big question. So far, it's been neutral. Relating Wave going to try to force the ball forward, but it's Furia who've had the last few midfield touches. Now, Seiko got the flip reset, but immediately up to challenge it was Carden. That's going to be key to shutting down either Yanks or Seiko. It's getting to those challenges quickly.
Chance though on the back ball for Card to get the clear away. So far been shut down in their back half. Good clear over towards the side, but Metza lurking, waiting, but has to stare down Yanks. Tries to find Kaio, isn't able to. Wave doesn't get the touch. Double touch from Card. The opening goal falls to Furia.
We haven't talked a lot about Card. He was quiet yesterday in their match against NRG, but he gets a nice double tap here on the wide angle. Relating Wave and Mets stunned in the net.
With two players in the net as well, you would expect for them to be able to cover different areas. Instead, sniping bottom right was the exact play they had to do. Advantage going to Furia, and if they can continue their trend from yesterday, Jorby, where they looked sublime, that is an amazing statement from South America on behalf of their region too.
Well, popped up by Seiko. Ends up missing the touch, gives it back to Furia. And they want another one! Kaio gives one himself in the same spot, but on the left side of the net.
One touch is never enough. Instead, let's double them up. Kaio onto the left wall with Metza whiffing, meaning that this is open entirely on the left-hand side of the net. Disappointing defense so far from Endpoint.
Yeah, they're just not able to defend that left side of the back wall. And Furia have been able to pick the gaps out. Seiko gonna try again here. Immediately challenged, but still Metza behind. Slow air dribble here, tried to force the 50. You see Relating Wave unwilling to overcommit. And now Furia in the same spot again. Yanks wanted it too, why not?
Forming a dent in that back wall where they just keep pummeling the ball into it, see if we can get something from it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, just keep going for the double taps.
Endpoint need to get into the garage and fix what's not working here in the first 2 minutes. But they have stabilized, trying to get it back. Seiko does get the first 50. Metza coming in quick. You see Seiko staying downfield, maybe looking to harass that defense, but Furia just marched down the field on the transition, taken back to the side.
Beautiful flip reset to get the pass off as well, where the defense don't know whether you're shooting, whether you're passing, and where to defend if so.
Again, Metza trying to set up Relating Wave, but Furia on top of every single challenge. Card racing for it. He's got the read on the bounce, but Seiko's there first. Furia back on the rotation, just taking away every challenge. Relating Wave comes in next, and he can't win against Yanks, who gets the ball back safely to the corner.
That speed is going to be such a big tool in the arsenal of Furia as well, where they can outpace a lot of teams. South America is such a quick region, and being able to get it past Metza and Wave repeatedly, that may well be a huge sign of things to come.
And to Furia's credit, they have relaxed the rotation just a little bit. They still have that aggressive posture, but they're not sending the house almost on every play when they do start winning challenges. Very aware of where Endpoint are on the field. And you see a lot of these touches when Endpoint get down the field, low boost, tough to make the plays happen. Seiko had that first play at the start of the game with the flip reset, no boost to push it. And that was Endpoint's best chance at the net so far.
The left wall though, Kaio tries to get it central again. Wave managing to win the 50 despite being beaten to the ball, and actually it does dust the defender. The touchdown high, that leads it to Metza. The save coming out though, and so much boost on the side of Furia. Endpoint, they're struggling for scraps.
Kyle pushes it downfield again, goes for the boost steal, and Furia pass out to the middle, but it's all Relating Waves, gonna push it back to Furia's territory. And Furia just looking like the better team right now in game number 1. Endpoint struggling to get any offense going as we approach the final minute.
And that's with them having so much time in the orange half as well. Furia seem to go for the counter-attacks and manage to get a couple of good chances, and then they take them. Instead, Endpoint, they have these repeat chances, but just none of them are good enough to pierce that back line.
Yanks comes down again. A battle on the back wall for possession, but it's taken back to the opposite side. Endpoint starting to grab control of those canisters. Can they keep this push going? The 50s are tough to get. CeX able to get 2 of them, though. And the ball just kicks back against the wall. Card in a tough spot, but he makes the touch. Kyle gets bumped into the boost, into the ball, off the ceiling. But oh, he goes for the bubble and relating wave. This leaves the shot open to commit from Endpoint. Maybe another goal for FURIA is on the table, but Endpoint get the back pass to Metz. Metz on the air dribble. Is met by Kyle, but he's beaten him. Wants the bump, CeX continues it. Relating wave up next. Yanks in the air, off the crossbar. No shot, no good. Card back down the field.
Such a good chance for Wave to just get one back and then give them the advantage on 10 seconds. Instead, from one side of the pitch down to the other, Card has it fall in the back.
Card coming alive in game number 1. He didn't have any goals against NRG. This time he picks up 2 in game number 1. Who else other than Card, who has been a long-standing South American representative at the World Championship, or just in international play in general now. But Endpoint really starting out slow here, despite trying a couple different angles to get by FURIA, Stumpy.
And these opportunities are so good for South American teams to be able to play, or any of the teams that aren't in Europe or North America. You then look at, unfortunately Mina couldn't be here, you then look at OCE and you look at South America, and also APAC, how much they can improve on these land settings. FURIA proving that and coming out so unbelievably strong. Endpoint could not get a single goal on the board. And that is also despite them managing to rack up 4 shots as well. Really decent chances for them. The defense staying strong.
And that the left side of the back wall popping off, feeling good. The vibes really clicking for FURIA. And then the transition game. Endpoint just didn't have the same midfield presence that you really expect from a team like this that are typically so fast to these challenges on the ball, but they were losing in the speed game in that department, Stumpy, excuse me.
Oh, nearly.
Close one. It's tall people, man. I don't know what it is about it. You know, I grew a couple inches for you this time around.
You're doing well, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's one of those opportunities where you look at how often we're seeing FURIA go for mechanical goals as well, and I think that is really getting on the nerves of Endpoint, because Card, even for that final goal, he went for a flip reset over one defender and then just got it bottom corner. Like, they can be churned out over and over and over again. Will it be a shot? Will it be a pass? And they never know. It's up to Eclipse to tell his team, look, they are going to be quick, they are going to be mechanical, but we have CeX, and he can do that in droves.
Well, on to Forbidden Temple. Endpoint going to take a mark and scuff those FURIA cars a bit. Kyle going to push that ball back over to Card. How do Endpoint end up beating this really solid challenge game from FURIA? As Relating Wave tries to pitch it out to the side. But again, Yanks up for that ball so quickly, beats Metzanoris to the ball. No one really able to grab a consistent possession just yet in this first minute. Up again, Yanks just sends one screaming towards the net, and it's pinched out to the side by Metz.
Going for those shots in midfield, forcing Metzger to have to go back, just means that then they can't go for those 3-man attacks. If they're going to be able to get those long shots and be able to try and snipe the net from their half, it means that then Endpoint hanging back just means that their offense isn't going to be quite as strong as they may well like. Card going for one flip reset, doesn't secure it though as Wave tumbles into Kaio, and a lot of offense, but still no results for Endpoint.
Still looking like FURIA's play. Yanks just staying on the side wall, trying to get the bumper, at least freeze Relating Wave. It's not successful. But FURIA have locked Endpoint again in this midfield battle. Kaio finding Card again. The shot's good! And they catch Endpoint out again, Stumpy. 1-0 FURIA.
The pass coming over from Kaio, just tapping it so nicely underneath CeX, who had to go for the pre-jump because he knows exactly how quick they can be. And it takes him fully out of the game.
I mean, it's like you were saying, it's not anything too difficult. Maybe one flip reset, but these touches are simple and effective for FURIA. Quick passes, easy, honestly, not a hard shot for Card at all to get down the field.
It's the fact that CeX was taken out of the game so early on, and it meant that the shot comes in on a grounded Metzanoris. Send it high, you get the goal, and the proof is in the pudding.
FURIA, again, on offense. They spent a lot of time here in the blue half these first 2 games. Yanks just locks and reloads here against the back wall. Does he have the double? Just missed it, and the shot denied before it could come, but another rebound is FURIA's. Yanks gonna pull off midfield. Not a lot of boost, but he wins the 50. Is that going down? Just off the backboard. Card's next up, and they've locked Endpoint here in the blue half. Card underneath on the 50. Just let Endpoint come to that challenge with full control. Kaio doesn't have anywhere to go with this ball, and Seiko able to clear the distance. Not a lot of boost, but puts the ball up and denied by FURIA.
Yet more issues though, as Seiko running out of boost, not being as efficient as we've seen him, or FURIA taking everything. Look how often in the top left, those blue bars are entirely depleted and orange is full to the max. It is so hard to try and do anything mechanical when you're being shut down for boost, and that is what we're seeing from FURIA right now. Endpoint, they're running on fumes half the time.
Even when Seiko on that last attempt, he did have 40 in the tank, but then he was immediately challenged.
Yeah.
Metz, no boost here. All he can do is pitch it against the backboard. And the ball just away, a little awkward for Wave to handle, and he ends up just letting it drop. And now in a one-on-one the other way, here comes Kaio underneath on the challenge, but Seiko gets back in time. FURIA don't get the touch, but they still press. Here's another bounce off the side wall, a demo on the backside. Card just missing the angle off the crossbar. Oh, a ripper again across the box, and a goal again! Kaio off from Yanks, FURIA up 2-0.
Time and time again, we're seeing these passes go back behind that final line, and the demolition removing Metz from the play entirely. FURIA, 5 unanswered goals so far. Endpoint are not doing well here on Forbidden Temple, and my God, do they need to change something.
Yeah, maybe some fans out there had a question or two.
There's
well, there
one.
it is. Metz is able to get the rebound, and Endpoint get their first.
The first is one that we have seen change the tide of series time and time again. You look back to yesterday, SSG get literally a single goal and then it changes. FURIA here have let one in and they're going to want to shut down that waterfall as early as possible.
Maybe a good gut check for FURIA as well, that you can't sleep on Endpoint at all when they're in the orange half. They will punish you for any kind of mistake, and they can press like any team. Here's again, another 50 in front, and off the post and in, Metz, that's 2.
On the cams, Wave leaning left and right, giving them fist bumps, making sure that everybody's nice and happy with how this game is going and not being too bogged down. They get 2 goals, they realize now that's only brought them level. That's not ahead, that's not still one behind, they're now dead on level. And the fake kickoff coming out, one that Endpoint, we were warned, they have actually been practicing to counter and looks like they've done it fantastically well.
Yeah, they got possession of the ball, but that first shot, not able to get it done. Now it's just about holding the pressure, and they're doing it. Card dives forward, and again, Kaio wins the next 50. Yanks is in the air, hard angled, can't make the shot, excuse me. And it's pushed back in by Kaio. They've retained possession off that kickoff. They get any more shots though as things slow down here in the defensive half for Endpoint. Seiko looking for the clear, he's gonna get one. FURIA looking for another push. Yanks on the quick reset, that was nasty! 3-2!
The catapult from the other side of the world. Round relating Wave and higher than Seiko could have ever dreamed. FURIA with Yanks. They thought they were terrifying enough with Card and Kaio turning it on. Yanks comes in and shows he is here to play.
That's the X factor of this FURIA team is, Endpoint, they're able to lock things down, win those challenges. But when FURIA, they end up going down, they got Yanks to be able to break the mold with his mechanics. Endpoint still have that with Seiko, but Seiko's been shut down for the most part. Sure, he's got a clear or two, he's had a chance to get flashy with those mechanics, but it has been a gritty game for Endpoint to try to score these goals.
It's been so hard just to work through and get a clear-cut opportunity. Chance again for a double tap from Kaio, and he secures.
Oh, the miss on the backboard. It's a tough read when you're coming back on the transition. Kaio knows it, and that's a beautiful placement for Lating Wave. Just misses that touch, and he's usually good for tough reads like that, Stumpy.
We've seen multiple times, though, in this series, Game 1 especially, the double touches were going in, but why? It was because there was an error on the back wall or the side where there was a whiff where they never should have had the opportunity. Yanks about to prove why actually he can get it round. Instead, though, it does pinch into the corner. And FURIA taking game number 2. Endpoint need to change their defense. They worked back so well. They got 2 in the space of, 45 seconds or so? And then FURIA turn it back around. They double up their lead. Game 2 is won by FURIA, 2-0.
It's starting to feel real for FURIA. You got 1 game left until you're up 2-0 in this group. You would take down the hardest opponents that you've had with Endpoint and NRG. and they're in full control right now. Endpoint, they've been able to respond with a couple of blows, but they haven't really taken over the game yet.
And winning this series would put FURIA in such a good position to go top in their group as well, because they've taken down what is the hardest team in their group, in the competition, NRG. They are the best team in the competition in that group. And then you have Endpoint to go through. Sure, they didn't win any of the regional events to get here, but unlike in the full major, but they're still that incredible team. The other one, sorry Renegades, they're Renegades. And when you're up against, but when you look at them compared to NRG and Endpoint,
absolutely,
and Endpoint still have NRG to go through, you'd rather go via the Renegades route.
I completely agree with you. The only caveat there for me is that Renegades beat FURIA in the fall major in the Swiss stage to eliminate them from the tournament. So maybe that Renegades matchup isn't so clear-cut, but either way, beating Endpoint here will do wonders for FURIA's chances to get out of this group at the top. This is a different team than we saw at the fall major completely.
Yep, so many opportunities to make South American history. FURIA are here to do so, and they are well on their way.
Win the South American hearts and the hearts of fans throughout the world. A lot of people out there want to see FURIA do well, and they've done so far in this tournament. But Endpoint, they got a lot of fans as well, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would like to see them step up. They haven't been able to find their rhythm just yet, but we've seen one reverse sweep so far this tournament. Who's to say it can't happen again?
I believe, what was it, the 5th reverse sweep on RLCS LAN?
I believe so.
I think it was, so is it going to be the 6th that we don't know? The FURIA wanted to go down the other end. The delayed flick is actually lovely. But with Wave on low boost, it falls to Seiko to clear. But with no plan, it just leaves it going back into the territory of FURIA and going via that 100 boost. That movement was so beautifully timed.
And Yanks in the air for it. He got the flip reset, just can't get around Seiko, who makes the touch. Here comes Card again, off the side wall, back over to Kaio. Does he have it again?
No.
He's got the reset, he waits, but taken away by Seiko. No way he gives Kaio that much time.
Oh my word, I was really pulling for that to happen. Get that in the top lanes. Instead, though, it does manage to get saved away. And I'm waiting to see what the impact of Eclipse's words are. The Endpoint coach has done so well historically to work his team back into a winning mindset. Will it work here on land, though? Time will tell, but the time is only 3 minutes 20.
The thing that worked for NRG against FURIA in those first couple of games were the physicality, the demos, and there hasn't really been that from Endpoint. There's one there from relating Wave on to Yanks, but maybe getting those demos, the opportunistic chances in front of the box could be enough to trip them up, but something has to break this FURIA line because Endpoint are having a lot of trouble even here. They keep getting flushed to the corners and can't get consistent shots on net. Another demo in front, and off the wall, into the net! Metsonoris pops off!
Metsonoris is able to tap that high and then dish it with the most revolting angle possible. Defender sitting pretty in the middle of the net and just admiring the masterpiece that Finn has painted in front of his eyes.
You just let go of your controller at that point. You ain't saving that ball. Metsonoris now the owner of all 3 Endpoint goals in the series, but that one flipped over the head, and Seiko has to buy some time, but FURIA are racing towards the box. The shot doesn't even come, it gets denied, but FURIA have control of midfield, and Endpoint have had to contend with that all series long, and still they're having to require all 3 players to jump in front of each other just to keep FURIA on their back wheels so they don't challenge absolutely everything.
It's the first time Endpoint have had a lead so far in this series. They've at best drawn it level, and then FURIA went ahead by 2 in the previous game. Can Endpoint hold on to it with Seiko? A flip reset, saved away by Kaio. Instead now Metza having to just scramble yet again for a bit more boost, continue the attack. Instead Yanks can rotate via 2 100 pads and shuts down the attack. Seiko trying to musty over the top. Card is able to. Wave, will he pass this? Yes, he does. Just skims the top corner.
Raced again, this time Endpoint have control of midfield, and another shot goes in, this time relating Wave takes the pass, and 2 goals for Endpoint.
Endpoint turning it around and wanting to be a team that others fear. Endpoint taking a look at FURIA and just going for the shots and taking their opportunities a lot more, forcing FURIA into more awkward angles, so then they can go for those long shots. That is what Wave did so well there, identifying an open net. Again, Wave just pressuring as much as he could, where I think earlier, Furia would have had a nice opportunity just to wait with that and then no pressure. Instead, he gets away from him, Wave able to shoot on the open.
Kaio trying to control that ball, even with Relating Wave breathing down his neck. Not exactly the way he wanted to catch it. Right, Stumpy, Endpoint. Whatever Eclipse said, it must have worked. And Yanks able to push that ball back downfield. There is a little time left for Furia to get some offense set up and maybe start the comeback clock, but here comes Endpoint again, cut off by Yanks. But effectively shut down in game number 3. Another pass out forces Yanks up for another save.
This is currently the biggest goal differential we've had so far as well. Endpoint going ahead by 3. Furia only historically managing 2 in this series, but Kaio wanting to shut that down to 2 at least. Final minute though is rapidly approaching. Relating Wave is going to be challenging in that back half. Yanks in the skies. He is horrifying, and Metanoris diving goalward.
Yeah, the good failsafe there from Metanoris. Not quite over yet for Furia's push. Card by another. He's been effective so far in this game, excuse me, but Metanoris pushes that one out. Another clear, but that's just more time wasted on the clock. Seiko's up for this. And Endpoint aren't feeling nearly as much pressure from Furia. They're getting to these challenges a lot faster. Another pass. Not the touch maybe Card wants. It does allow Kaio to come in for the 50. See Furia, every touch from a blue card will waste more time on that clock. There's another save from a Relating Wave. Endpoint looking like we're headed to game number 4.
Brilliant game management as well from Endpoint. With a very awkward pinch managing to fall Metanoris' way. He sort of looks at the monitor like, oh, I've scored. Oh, that's sick. Awesome. I love that. That's brilliant.
Relating Wave sharing a little giggle with Metanoris on that one. We all do. 20
Still
seconds.
Good vibes. That's the thing. Still good vibes. Even though they were down by the 2 games, and I appreciate now they're 4-0 up, you're going to be feeling good about that regardless of where you're sitting. But Endpoint, they have got that mentality that a lot of teams will be looking up to. As the seconds tick down, it's just going to be any consolation goals in garbage time. Endpoint, game number 3, suddenly turning their fate around.
Really flipped it. And they just did what Furia did to them. They didn't let them break out. Furia weren't able to control midfield like we saw in the first 2 games. And it was just those quick shots, the leave from Metanoris over to Relating Wave to really trip up the Furia rotation, make them second guess themselves as to where exactly the ball is going, who's going for the ball exactly. Those little things will start to add up, and that's what helps Endpoint get over Furia in game 3.
Thing is, there are chances to use an opposition's speed against them, where they're going to be diving at balls. I mean, that goal from Metanoris is unbelievable.
That was good. That was so good.
That is just so wonderful to see. But you can use that speed against your opponent, where if you make them dive at you, then and you maintain control of the ball, it doesn't matter that they've challenged, because you have then still got the priority on that play. Endpoint did that very well. They managed to hold it nicely. And Furia, going down by 4, that's not a great position to be in, and it may well be the start of this reverse sweep that Endpoint needed.
It could be, and Endpoint, I was wondering if maybe the physical game would come into more play for them to break through the Furia defense. They didn't really need to go to that, and now Furia are forced to respond. There's something to be said about momentum. And losing 4-0, like you were saying, it could be the start of a reverse sweep. Momentum swings, it's very fickle, and Endpoint have control of it. They have control of the kickoff. Here's Seiko, you know he can be nuts, but it's taken out to the side wall. He's been challenged pretty effectively for most of the series, but sometimes he does sneak in and get a cheeky pass out with a flip reset, or even maybe off the ceiling. A pinch, he went for it, couldn't quite nail it.
Thing is, we've really not seen Seiko in this so far. We've seen Metza. I mean, Metza scoring, I believe still, no, Wave got 1 goal, did he?
Yeah, 2 goals, I think.
Wave got 2 of the goals, but still
That's
Seiko.
2, Wave 2, yeah.
Seiko scoring none. And he is their goal scorer. He is one of the best players in Europe, statistically speaking. He is at the top of, shots and goals and even, saves and stuff. He's up there.
But that's why Endpoint have been so consistent in Europe. When Seiko is not able to get it done, you have Metanoris and Relating Wave that can clean it up and pull the weight that they need to if Seiko ends up being shut down. You're not overly relying on Seiko to win these games for you. It's a team effort for Endpoint as they continue to pepper the net on Furia's side, leaving off where they started in game 3, and now they press. Metanoris forcing the next 50 up. We see Seiko ends up backflipping. That may have given Furia a chance, but he's back. Barely makes that save. Card gonna steal the boost out. Maybe Furia's got a chance, but Endpoint actually get the full field.
Good idea from Wave there to jump over that demo and try and go for the edge roll bump instead. Good pass central from seikoo. Back from Wave, shoots, but all three commit from FURIA. Chance of Metza to keep this push going.
Clear for FURIA. And you might have held your breath a little bit when you saw that triple commit. Getting the ball out to the corner safely. Endpoint couldn't really do anything to punish it. So Relating Wave will put this ball up high. Not too hard. Give seikoo a chance at it, but Yanks is in the air too quickly. Falls straight back down, and Endpoint clear back to FURIA's half again. The corner. Endpoint fighting for control. seikoo might have 2 touches here. A bouncer makes it a tough read. Relating Wave up, but can't get to the touch, and a big clear for FURIA.
Thing is, Wave sitting in a position there where he could have gone for a decent shot, or at least they forced it to fall awkwardly on the goal line, and just didn't really commit as much as maybe he should have done, considering Metza position, sitting a lot further back. Wave, he can get into better positions than he has done so far. He's got a couple of goals, but I really think it could have been one there.
A miss by Yanks. He wasn't able to get there. Forces the rotation to tighten up on FURIA. Kaio has to wait for Relating Wave, who makes a nasty pinch, forces 2 up for it. Metza going to put this one up high, force Yanks to use all of his boost to get to that touch. He makes it happen and falls back right down onto it. Here's Yanks, card to Yanks, launches it downfield. And while FURIA have been able to get the clears, they've struggled to hold this ball in the blue half. This one pitched up to the side, and everybody gets whacked out of the box, and nothing happens. Everyone's end up missing the ball. It ends up being contagious.
Just complete confusion where nobody knew exactly who was going for the ball, and then the dominoes started to topple. Didn't actually end up in a goal, however, but just in the 2 minutes remaining, still 0-0. seikoo trying to challenge off against Kaio again. That's with a shot on target, saved away from the top corner this time. And look at Endpoint, how much more they're committing in this game compared to earlier ones in the series. Yanks there, fantastic 50, just landed a touch too far away from the ball to continue onto the open net.
And to what you were just saying, you know, Endpoint getting aggressive with the rotation. Relating Wave had to come back beyond the midfield line to get back to that in time. Endpoint definitely feeling maybe the struggles now of trying to get the ball in the back of the net. FURIA have had a couple chances down in the blue half. They haven't been as locked in the final half of this game. This one pushed to the side. That's a dangerous 50 in front of the box. Nobody's up for this, and it allowed Yanks to get that ball back to Kaio, but there's nobody ready to follow that up. They let seikoo come down. Relating Wave gets the kick onto the FURIA car. Yanks might have the play. What a pass down to Kaio, and FURIA take the lead!
Absolutely phenomenal positioning there. Looking midfield has Kaio waiting. Yanks just doinking it into the center. Metza, he has to go for the jump. He has to do something. If he shoots to the right-hand side, he has to get going. Awesome play from FURIA to get the lead with under a minute left.
Could be the chance for FURIA to close it out. Less than 60 seconds for Endpoint to tie it. A demo on the backside, but Yanks gets a solid clear. Kaio following it up, stinting that Endpoint rotation. Karn flips this up over one beyond midfield. Does he have a play here? He's hit a couple nasty ones. That one dangerously rolls across. Metza and seikoo get that clear. As we approach the final 30 seconds, how will Endpoint find this tying goal? Will they find that tying goal? Another clear for FURIA.
Final 20 with Kaio going central again, but Wave able to intercept this time. Wanting to change their fates. Metza pinch off the ceiling. seikoo waiting. I like the idea, but the execution not quite there. The timing isn't right. Final 10, FURIA lead.
Here they come again. One more goal will certainly seal it. Metza, last cry. Back over to seikoo. seikoo's got the air dribble. Underneath the flick reset. Denied. Ball touches the ground. FURIA take the lead in the group stage. 2-0, one away from winning their group.
The final goal at the death of the game could have come in from seikoo. Instead, though, the boost miss from Yanks led him into an amazing position, but he just wasn't able to get it past. Devastation on the faces of Endpoint, and Eclipse now has to lift them up. He has to be the boost that they need when they face off against NRG.
I mean, this is crazy. Stumpy, FURIA just took down NRG and Endpoint who have been top in their regions for 2 straight splits. FURIA in the fall split, they didn't look anything like this. I mean, look at them now. It's insane. Endpoint, they gotta feel gutted. This was a chance for them to maybe secure this group. They have a tough match coming up against NRG later on, and that might decide, depending on how FURIA Renegades goes, where you go in the lower bracket. It's gonna be, it's a tough road for Endpoint, but FURIA, what a story that's developing with this team. And wow, I can't wait to see where they end up.
This is why majors are magic. That's what we get from international competition, and when we are able to see the top teams play against each other, where suddenly they're able to bring their A game, where they have been practicing for weeks whilst they've been here in person with their teammates side by side, and then FURIA are able to take down Endpoint, not even in 5. That is statement worthy.
Yeah, they didn't go to 5 against NRG either. It was 4 games. Are you kidding me, FURIA? South American fans out there got to be popping off. Twitch chat, obviously, we're popping off. 53% to 47%. I think the South American energy is felt right now in the fan base. Absolutely insane stuff.
Yeah.
But Stumpy, you know what's great?
What?
Is that day 1 was amazing. Day 2 continues to deliver. And day 2 just started. We got so much more Rocket League to go. A stream, B stream about to start. But before we do that, let's hear from FURIA with the Chiefs.
Thank you very much, Jorby. I'm Chiefs, of course, standing here with Coach of FURIA, STL, and you guys certainly making some big improvements from your previous major performance. And what were some of the changes you guys felt you had to make coming into this one?
I think the biggest one was the mental part. Like, we're playing good in Sweden, but in scrims, everyone knows that. But when it comes to the tournament, we kind of have like our uppers and downs, and like especially Renegades, you like kind of have a different mental in that match, and we fell off. So I think that was the biggest improve for us, the mental part.
Certainly some nice improvements, and of course, fairly easy for you guys to break down Endpoint's defense. Was there anything in particular you guys were noticing, or what did you guys feel was a very effective approach against Endpoint?
You mean easy?
Yeah.
Really easy? No.
It seemed easy.
No way, man. No way, man. But I think that to break Endpoint, I think that if you break Seiko, you kind of break the whole part of Endpoint. So we challenge him early. We break him like in his air dribbles, in defense, and then it kind of feel like we easy. Let's just say.
Well, of course, as you said, you only have Renegades left, and in a good spot. You've taken down a top team in NRG, now another top team in Europe, and it looks like if you guys take down Renegades, you'll be facing another top team in BDS or G2 in the top bracket on Saturday and Sunday. So how are you guys feeling about starting off against another top team going into the playoffs?
Well, first we need to beat the Renegades, and it's not easy, like season 8, fall major, they are like our kryptonite. So first we need to focus on them, try to beat them, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, doesn't matter, we need to win. And then we think about BDS or G2 or even in the lower bracket, our opponents, we need to win first.
Well, either way, an excellently played series. Looking forward to your continued run of the major. STL, thank you very much. When we come back, we'll continue with the RLCS Winter Major.